Okay, we all think we're pretty safe online, right? We've got our long passwords, we've got our two-factor codes, but what if I told you that the very tools we trust to protect us are actually built on a dangerous illusion? Today we're going to dig into why your security might not be what you think it is at all. So let's just get right to it. I'll ask you straight up, is your online security an illusion? Well, according to the source material we're breaking down today, for most of us, and yeah, even for the biggest corporations, the answer is a pretty resounding yes. You know, we're always told that multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is the gold standard. The promise is simple enough. Verify who you are using two or more totally distinct things. But here's the catch. The reality? Most systems aren't doing that. Not really. They're just verifying multiple forms of transmitted data, like, say, a password and a code from a text message. And as we're about to see, that all just counts as one single very vulnerable thing. And that brings us perfectly into our first section, the illusion of security. We're going to explore why simply piling on more and more security layers, the way we do it now, doesn't actually make us any safer. This quote from Stephen Hawking it hits the nail on the head. The real danger here isn't that we don't know, it's that we think we know. We have this false confidence, this illusion that our security methods work, and that belief, that illusion, is our single biggest vulnerability. Okay, so here's the big takeaway, the thing you really gotta get. What we call multi-factor is almost always just single-factor authentication in a clever disguise. Why? Well, think about it. Whether it's your password, a code texted to your phone, or even a fancy fingerprint scan sent from your laptop, to the network, it's all just one thing, data being transmitted over the internet. And any data that's transmitted can be intercepted. That makes it just one single compromisable factor. So how in the world did we get here? To really understand why our security feels so broken, we have to go way back, right back to the beginning. Because the problem isn't some newfangled hack or a modern virus, it's a deep foundational flaw, what you might call the internet's original sin. And here it is. This is the flaw, our total reliance on something called indirect interaction. This is how basically everyone logs into everything. You open a public web browser on the open internet, and then you send your most private information, your logins, your passwords, across that public connection to prove you are who you say you are. This whole system was a choice, and it was a choice made for convenience, definitely not for security. And if you look at this timeline, it's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. Back in the 70s, the internet was built by a small group of people who all trusted each other. Security wasn't even on the radar. Then boom, the 90s hit, everyone's getting online, and convenience was king. Even when a much better idea, digital IDs, was proposed in the 2000s, it got ignored. And where did that leave us? Right here, today, stuck in this miserable, endless cycle of getting breached, patching the hole, and just waiting for the next attack. The source material uses this fantastic analogy that you're not going to forget. Building our entire cybersecurity world on top of public-facing logins is like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but you forgot to check if you even have bread, right? You can have the best organic peanut butter, the fanciest jelly, but if you're missing that fundamental ingredient, the whole thing just collapses into a sticky mess. We miss the bread. We never separated public access from our private networks. But what if we could go back and get the bread? Well, that brings us to the solution, the digital ID. And this isn't just another patch, it's not another layer of jelly, this is a fundamental, paradigm-shifting new idea. Okay, let's put these two ideas side by side, because the difference is night and day. The flawed way we do it now? We transmit data to prove who we are, and we just cross our fingers and assume that data's trustworthy. It's totally reactive. We wait for a breach and then try to clean it up. The solution? It's completely different. It uses a physical ID to prove the user's physical presence. It doesn't assume anything. It verifies, and that makes it proactive. It stops an attack before it can even begin. And get this, the way it works is so incredibly simple, it's almost elegant. Step 1. An employee physically connects a unique digital ID, maybe it's a smart card or a special USB key. Step 2. The network verifies the presence of that specific one-of-a-kind ID. And here's the key part. Only after it confirms the authorized person is physically there does it even bother to show a login screen. Presence is confirmed, access is granted. Simple as that. No public login page, no shooting your password across the open web. Okay, this next part, this is where it gets really interesting. It's probably the most powerful and kind of mind-bending concept we'll talk about today, the power of absence. See, for decades, all of our security has been obsessed with one thing, proving who is at the keyboard. But this quote, it just flips the whole script. What if the real game changer isn't proving who's there, but proving who isn't? This is the core insight that changes absolutely everything.
So what does proving absence actually mean? It's simple, really. It's the network's ability to know, with absolute 100% certainty, that your physical digital ID is not connected to the system. And if the network knows you're absent, it can automatically block any and all attempts to use your credentials from anywhere in the world. It's basically a digital alibi.
And this isn't just theory. Let's think about what this would mean for some catastrophic real-world hacks. Remember the Oldsmar water plant attack, where a hacker tried to poison the water supply? With this system, the network would have known the real operator's ID was absent and just blocked the command instantly. Or the massive SolarWinds breach, where hackers used stolen credentials to wander through networks. Proving absence would have stopped them dead at every single turn, because the system would have known the real admin's ID wasn't there.
All right, so where does this leave us? What does all this mean for the future of security? Well, it means we can finally move from being reactive to being proactive. We can shift from constant damage control to actual, genuine prevention.
It means we can stop playing this endless, exhausting game of whack-a-mole, mitigating attacks only after they happen, and instead move to a model of simple, elegant prevention. We can actually fix that foundational flaw we talked about.
You know, it really brings to mind that famous quote from Einstein. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. We created our security mess by choosing convenience and public-facing logins. We're never going to solve it by just adding more locks to that same broken door. We need a fundamentally new way of thinking.
And so, that leaves us with one final and I think really crucial question. The technology for this kind of proactive, presence-based security, it exists right now. It's simpler and it's so much stronger than what we're all using. So the question we should all be asking is, what's stopping us?